Okay, all right, I'm just gonna start. Yeah, I know I got it. Thank you. That just be careful what you say, and I will let you go if you have any questions. I do have my phone right near me. Yes, I have not lost it this time. No, give me a shout, okay?
Okay.
Have a good meeting.
Thank you,
Thank you
Barbara.
so much for helping.
Sure. Anytime. I'm gonna make, yeah, I already have you there.
Still there, Annie? I'm just here, but not,
Yep, I'm here.
I'm working on an email.
All good.
So are you still with them? Oh, never mind. Are we being recorded?
We are being recorded.
All right, I won't talk personal chat. Am I still here, Annie?
Yep, you're there.
Okay, so quiet.
Yep.
Oh, we're 6 minutes out. Sorry.
We
Yeah.
still have some time. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
You're the host tonight.
I am the host tonight.
Awesome.
Feel all special.
Yep. Nice background with all the candles on the mantle. Everything's
Oh,
looking
thank
kind of
you.
groovy there.
Yeah, this is my just my living room, nothing special.
There you go. But it's a nice setup.
Thank you. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good?
How's the baby?
She's great.
That's
I wish
right.
you-
That's right. The
Yeah,
baby.
she's 2 months old yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I wish she was here so I could show her off, but she's upstairs getting ready for bed.
Okay.
It's good to get her in a routine as soon as
Yep.
possible.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly. 7 o'clock on the dot. We're up there trying to get her down.
Good deal.
No, but she's really good. Thanks for asking.
Oh, that's great. And how many kids do you have?
This is our first.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
our first baby. So we're brand new parents figuring it all out for the first time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Thank
Like our first was a girl and had colic, and I'm surprised we had more.
Oh, that sounds challenging. Knock on wood, Dorothy doesn't get that.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, no, I did talk to Mark. He was definitely said he was going to attend. So I think because Ben was on the list too to make it, right? So
Yeah, he responded he could make it.
I think it was Jen and Dorian. Oh, there's
Dorian, yeah.
Jen.
oh, Dorian's made it.
Ah,
Hello.
For some reason, I thought the meeting you said was Tuesday night, and I was out of town. I was like, I didn't know about a meeting Tuesday night. And I looked at my schedule and said, I think it's Thursday night. Must be 2 meetings. I don't know. So sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Hmm. So did we not have a meeting last month? I feel like it's been so long since I've seen you guys. Or maybe did I miss a meeting?
there was one in September. I missed it.
Yeah, there
No,
was
was there?
Yeah, that's where we got the minutes from Betsy.
September.
Oh, yeah.
You had two scheduled, one, we didn't need the second one. So you only had one in September instead of two.
That's right. And just so you guys know, we are already recording and live. So Barbara helped us get all that set up in advance. So we're good with those things so far.
I'm glad you told me. I gotta brush my hair.
Yeah, there's Ben.
Hey, Ben. Just give him a minute. I know I did talk to Mark the other day. He said he was going to attend, so just give him a minute.
Annie, I just sent that document. If you let me know that you get it, okay? In case
Yes,
it's needed.
I did get that. Yep.
It's 72 degrees in my house and I'm freezing. I'm used to 90. Ah,
Have you been at Disney?
I have sweating. And I come back here and it's like, oh, it's freezing. I need the heat on.
Oh, Mark is here. I'm gonna promote him now.
Hey, Mark.
Hey I got promoted. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So we have a quorum. I'm just going to read the brief sentence. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on June 16th of 2021. And this meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. So call the meeting to order at 7:02. And the first thing we were going to talk about was the townhouse restoration. Do we see John Parent in the audience? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Annie, you're muted.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, should I promote him to panelist or just click allow to talk?
Panelist, fine.
Okay. There he's coming.
Hey, John.
How's everyone doing?
Good, and you?
Doing pretty well.
Good, John.
So, John, I talked a little bit with Mark Purple too about the MOU and everything, because there were some pieces that I was hoping he could be here to help represent the town and from the standpoint of the MOU, but he had a cold, I guess, that was getting pretty bad quickly, so he couldn't be here. So, if you could give us a rundown of the status of the project, and then we can probably talk about the MOU at the end. I don't know how familiar you are with the status of that, but
No, I was expecting him to be joining us tonight, actually.
okay.
Well, the project right now, we've already secured the services of Central Mass Projects as the OPM on the project. Unfortunately, right now, we're kind of in that spot where I can't progress without the MOU because we're going to incur expenses. So we're kind of in that holding pattern. Once the MOU is signed, it's going to take approximately a month for the advertising, circulation, and the receipt of architectural service bid packets to come in. Once we get those bid packets in, then we're looking at approximately 1 to 2 weeks to conduct interviews on the candidates who are the top candidates at that point. It'll take another week or two to award a contract for architectural services. Once we have that contract awarded, we're looking at about 3 months' time, and that's for the development of the plans, preparation of the project specs, and the bid packet to go out. Once that gets completed, we're going to go for the filed sub bids, and this generally takes approximately 3 to 4 weeks to get those back in. Once those are back in, then we're going to go on to the general contractor, and that's approximately another 2 or 3 weeks for those bids. Once we have that, the contract award again takes another week or two. That's reviewing, meeting with people we have to meet with them, and then awarding the contract. Another week or two after that, actual contract award, and then we can begin construction. Now, that's about 7 months' time total, which puts us to about May, that's acceptable. But I have to throw a very big caveat in here now, unfortunately. If we still have material shortages, which are very realistic concerns at this point, we may need to purchase materials. They can be stored either on-site or off-site, and we'd have to have visual proof that the materials are, air quotes, in our possession, and the materials would have to be insured for the town of Southborough. Like right now, Mary Balso, the OPM on our project, was telling me about another project she's familiar with. They just awarded and signed contracts, but they can't begin until April because they literally can't get pipe. There is a real shortage right now. Anyone that's been watching the news knows there's shortages of everything. Hopefully this will not be an issue for us. The time frame we're looking at, I would like to think the bottleneck will open by then. But this is a definite possibility, and I'm just throwing it out there so we are all aware.
Okay. For the MOU piece, because that's where we kind of come in, I think the biggest thing that I was concerned about was in the MOU that I think it was that the town attorney struck the wording about going to the ballot if the town ever wanted to unload the building, which I didn't understand if that got voted on by a town meeting, why it wouldn't be in the MOU. So that's the only piece really I'm questioning why that can't be in the MOU. And
All I can do is refer you back to the email from council. I believe he stated on why that couldn't be in there. Realistically, the way I look at it, it was definitely voted at town meeting. I went back and looked at the article. But from what I could tell, the article didn't say it had to be in the MOU. So it really should be a moot point. If it's not in there anyways, you voted on it at town meeting and it is in, the article. So I don't see where that could really become an issue anywhere. It was approved.
right, and well, the same fact, why isn't it an issue to put it in the MOU if it got voted on at town meeting?
I can't speak to, I'm not an attorney. I'm sure there's a legal reason, and I don't play one on television.
Yeah.
I think it's a contractual issue, Andrew. I don't think you can put something like that in a contract. So I think that's what the issue might be. Not sure, I'm not a lawyer either, but Mark, you should be able to address that. You're the lawyer.
I don't see why it couldn't be in there. I mean, so it's in the warrant. Is that correct?
It was definitely in the article, yeah.
So I'm looking at the MOU right now. I mean, you can take.
Can I weigh in that the MOU, if the warrant article was reviewed by bond counsel and town council before it got printed? We made adjustments based on those comments. I mean, the CPC made adjustments. So it went into the warrant and was voted on by the townspeople.
I mean, the MOU, I'm looking at the MOU, it incorporates by reference the terminology in the warrant article. But it doesn't repeat everything in the warrant article. I'm looking at it, it seems fine to me, but I can't say that I probably gave it due consideration like town council might have. And he's of the opinion that it shouldn't or can't be in there.
He said, this is what he said. He said, I removed the provision regarding the sale of the property. As former town council has opined, such provision is not enforceable. Second, such a provision is irrelevant to the MOU, which is for the purpose of managing the project, not potential future disposition of the property.
I just found the email, Andrew. You read it very well.
That's what he was saying. So I guess the question for the CPC members, are we comfortable with having that stricken? Or should we push to have it in there?
Can I ask a question? Can we simply sort of end run this and make the, I know it's sort of incorporated by reference within the MOU, but make it explicit that the MOU, under the MOU, explicitly includes by reference all the requirements of town meeting article, and just put it in a sentence like that and just end run the whole thing.
I'm comfortable with that.
I think it's a good idea.
Works for me.
It's pretty close to being that now, but I agree with you, Ben.
Yeah, I think just a really minor tweak to the language, just to say it's referred to, but it doesn't say the text of the warrant meeting article is included herein by reference, as if written out in whole or whatever.
I get where Ben's coming from, and I think if that was written benignly enough, where council's going to look at it and say, yep, that's fine. But again, I can't speak for council, but to me,
Agreed.
that seems pretty straightforward.
But isn't the purpose of the MOU just to manage the project?
That is what the attorney was pointing out, actually. It's
So
basically the management of the project.
Then it really shouldn't be relevant at all. If the MOU is strictly to run the project and to manage the project, that actually has nothing to do with this piece of it. The vote of the town meeting the 95%, that would hold up if they were going to sell the building. They couldn't, because there would be a second part to it. The MOU is only to manage this specific project and the details of the project. The sale of the building has absolutely nothing to do with the MOU. I don't think we should refer to it at all.
I
we
think to
should leave it out.
Dorian's point, I could safely say the MOU technically probably expires when the project's completed. Because the management of the project has completed at the point, because the project's closed out. So
I guess I would
it
also,
wouldn't gain us anything, I suppose, at that point.
this might be kind of a quibble, but as far as the purpose of the MOU, it was the committee ourselves who decided to start including these MOUs, not necessarily specifically for the purpose of running individual projects, but for fleshing out the requirements in the town meeting warrant article, because we're often left with a warrant article of 2 or 3 sentences to cover the entirety of a complicated project. And it's to write out explicitly everything that was said during the presentations and the application process, to make sure that everybody is on the same page with respect to all facets of the project, not simply managing, for instance, the construction of it. I think it's
right. And I think what council is saying council is saying that that's actually not the purpose of an MOU. Even though it's good intended what you're doing, that's not the purpose, is what he's saying.
Well,
The
if you
purpose
look
is
at the-
strictly to
Our
spell out
purpose.
how we're gonna do it.
The opening paragraph says it's intended to memorialize the obligations of the director of facilities. The director of facilities has no obligation about selling the property under any circumstances. So
Right, it's just the management of
the
the
opening
project.
paragraph is pretty limiting.
Did we draft that?
Yes.
We did. Okay.
And I think at the end of the day, what I'm looking at does govern the obligations with respect to the project. It doesn't speak to the obligations of the town in the event down the road somebody tries to sell a building. On its face, I think it does what it purports to do, but
Well, there are some requirements for the Board of Selectmen, for instance. Requirement number 3, Board of Selectmen is hereby directed to grant a preservation restriction, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it may just be a distinction without a difference, honestly. We have the warrant article. We have the MOU. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of making it it included within the MOU, but if others don't feel strongly about it, I certainly wouldn't push it.
We kind of have to look at what the purpose of the MOU has been. It's not to manage the warrant article itself, it's to manage the project. It's not dealing with all of the details that we have in the warrant article. It's really specifically to get this project done correctly, and to adhere to whatever those guidelines are that we've put in this. It's not to do the overall warrant article and manage. I mean, they're not going to sell the building, but that's here nor there. That's not, selling the building has nothing to do with repairing it.
Okay.
Well, that is the purpose of the MOU. I mean, we were the ones who decided what the purpose was when we decided to start having MOUs for each project, and that was our intention. Was the purpose of the MOU wasn't simply to manage the construction of our process, but was to capture all of the discussion that happened around the application process, promises or representations made by the applicant, or expectations voiced by the committee that didn't get captured in the warrant article, to capture the entirety of the discussion. And I think, without going too far off the rails here, I think we made a little mistake in the language here that unnecessarily narrowed it. I think we need to do better next time. How about that?
Ben, I'm looking at what Freddie sent around, and it actually does reference the preservation restriction. It does reference, selling the building so I mean, it really does mention.
That's the original, but what town council struck bullet number 5.
Right, and if you look at bullet number 5, the way this is set up, you're asking me to sign it. Needless to say, number 5 would be way past my purview of power.
Right.
I can't sign for number 5.
May I make a suggestion? I don't know which way you're leaning towards, but if the problem is that it's under, if you're going to change it, that means you can change anything in it because it's not finalized. It's an MOU of the, how you voted it was an MOU of the Community Preservation Committee to memorialize all of the things in discussions in the warrant article. So you can change that it's, looks like it's John Parent's obligation to do that. If you're going to take something, as easily as you take something out, you can add something in and change something else if that makes it so that if you want to keep that point in. One thing I know is warrant articles, you know, people don't go back and look at what they said when they make changes 20 years down the road.
Right, but I want to point out to Freddie's point, if that's back in there, I can't sign this. Council has said no, so that's a no. That's
He
way
doesn't-
beyond my scope.
No, John doesn't have responsibility for the sale of the building. That's strictly BOS. So that has nothing to do with John. So
I think what Freddie's suggesting is we could change it to say, instead of John Parent being the proponent, be the selectman.
And John Parent signs for his part if he needs to, and the selectmen sign for their part. Because John Parent's not issuing the conservation restriction either.
Well, put it this way, I'm sure you could run that by council, but from what he was saying, it still doesn't have a place in an MOU. I mean, from all logical perspectives, the warrant article is your proof. It was voted, it's recorded. That's your proof of the obligation. It was voted.
The warrant article also requires the MOU. It's mentioned in the.
Right, and
warrant
you'd still be
article.
getting an MOU, absolutely. You're getting an MOU. That's what the attorney's saying, is this wouldn't be part of an MOU generally.
So I like Ben's suggestion of just making some small reference in the MOU back to the warrant. So we're covered, but we can still take that out, if that specific sentence out, if council doesn't want it in there. Because I, to John's point, I don't think we should hold this up any longer. If we're already looking at a 7-month lead time to get started.
Agreed.
Even if it was 2 weeks before we could vote on this again, that's, 2 more weeks to push it out.
I'm comfortable with that. David?
I think Annie summarized it very well, especially, given the fact that it's important to move forward on it. And we pretty much have it covered between the two documents. So I think the reference that Ben proposed should be fine.
Ariane, you comfortable with that?
I'm fine as long as town council says it's
Yeah.
okay. I have no problem with that at all.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And Ben, I assume you're good with it because you suggested it.
Yeah, especially in the interest of releasing John here to get going on this. Absolutely.
Okay.
I also want to point out, while I have you all, I did discuss the PR with Mark Purple. At first, I was considering working with the Board of Selectmen to form a small committee with hopefully an attorney on it. But given the nature of a PR, let's be honest, none of us are attorneys. So I talked to Mark, and it looks like we're going to have town council work on it.
Is
That
it,
way, if we can try to put the library with it, let's have someone with a legal background do this. If we
okay,
want to get this done right, we need to put it in the writing. None of us would attempt to draft a mortgage. So let's let the experts do what the experts do.
Can we stop for a minute, please? You're changing the MOU. I
do
think
you
you need a
mean?
motion, and then
Oh.
you need to give me the language so that we can send that out tomorrow if possible for you to review and then people to sign. Does that make sense?
yep,
So before you lose what you were saying, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to have to take a notes on this and make sure, Annie, maybe you and I can go over it tomorrow to be sure we, two of us at least, agree what we hear tonight.
Sure.
Thank you, Freddie. I mean, I can make the motion, Andrew, if you would entertain it.
yep,
So I move that the MOU be edited to read in the first full sentence. This memorandum of understanding is intended to memorialize the obligations of Southborough's Director of Facilities regarding the project referenced in warrant Article 20, presented at town meeting, et cetera, as described in greater detail in the corresponding application for community preservation funding. The warrant Article 20 is incorporated herein by reference as sentence number 2 of that first paragraph. And I think that does it.
I agree with you. I think that's fine.
Mhm.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, I gotta go by how I see people on my screen. Ann,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Dorian,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Andrew is a yes. So unanimous. All right. So John, you were saying about the PR?
PR. Yep. So basically, this is going to be something we're going to have legal counsel handle. Because again, this is a legal document. This is going to be recorded. This is something we should not be playing around with. This isn't like a plug and play, change someone else's. It needs to be written specifically for these properties.
Hey, John, has there been any progress in finding somebody to hold the PR? I know that's been a stumbling block. It's just difficult to find somebody.
We haven't even started yet for the simple fact that I don't have an MOU. So I
Gotcha.
can't do
Okay.
anything that would incur expenses. I'm really at a dead standstill.
Understood. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions for John? I know he had a time commitment or a commitment after this, so.
Ask this when you say you have counsel, will be working on it. Usually they don't work on it until they have a holder. Is my understanding.
Okay, gonna have to check on that with council because I have no idea how to find a holder.
Because it has to be a mutual, you have to have something drafted that the holder will hold. That's how it worked in the, at least that's how it worked with the Burnett House.
Wouldn't that be the PR that the attorney would draft? Would they do
PR.
the whole?
Somebody's going to hold it, and the holder
Yeah.
is the one who drives the boat on what goes into it, and you both have to, it's an agreement between the two parties.
It's negotiated
Freddie,
between the two of them.
Can you
It's
provide us with the
negotiated, yeah.
list, Freddie?
Excuse me?
Can you provide us with the list of potential holders?
We did that with the library, and you're working in conjunction with the library, correct?
We're gonna be, yeah. We'd like to be able to do this all in one for you.
So if
So they
that's
should
an
already
ask
have
from,
that list.
there aren't,
Freddie, I think he's just asking whatever the list was that was given to the library, can we give it to John so he can pick it up and move it forward?
yeah, it wasn't a list. It was recommended organizations that will do it. There aren't that many.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring. That's why I figured you'd be the person to ask, because I'm guessing this is a very small handful of places.
I can put something together for you.
We appreciate that greatly. Thanks, Freddie.
All right. Any other questions for John?
Nope.
John, thank you for attending. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank
It
you,
was great to
everyone.
see you.
Thanks a
We'll
lot.
get this done soon. Have a great one.
No, you too.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
John.
All right, so next we've got, let's see, next item on the agenda, review of outstanding balances, CPA projects. Freddie, I know you were working with the town on getting balances. I don't think we got everything. Is that correct? Freddie, you're on mute.
I put several accounts there. I believe what we were doing is going through the projects, trying to clean them up. We have all the balances. We know the balances in the account. The question is, what's outstanding? And we were looking at the high fruit first.
Okay.
So let me grab the agenda. I thought there was another item after John.
It was the status of the project. There was the MOU. But the next bullet point was review of outstanding balances CPA projects. So the Southborough Historic Society is a sub-bullet, golf course, putting green, conservation restriction.
So those are the ones I started work on.
Okay.
So the first one,
Southborough
Historical Society.
Yep.
So, and I sent out a sheet. I was working with Betsy. She's in the hospital this evening. She's okay. It's a scheduled surgery that she finally got to have that had been put off because of COVID. So we've been working together on a lot of these. And we just, we had to dig in to see what really happened here. But if Annie, can you put that up? Did you get that?
Yep, I was just gonna ask if you wanted me to share my screen. I can certainly do that.
Yeah, make it easier, I think, to understand. So, you know, we did invite the Historical Society president to attend. And he declined.
Can you guys see that now?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
So basically what we were looking for, like with many projects, is an update on the status, and that wasn't forthcoming. So I dug in and found out what it was. In 2019, it was a sort of a combination project. Half was 20,055 was for the old flag restoration, and another 30,000 was to do restoration of the documents in the collection. So the flag has been restored, although we're still waiting for the affidavit that was required between the selectmen and the society. And that wasn't for the that wasn't for the Community Preservation Committee to work on. So that's due between the two of them, and we still don't have it. But the flag has been fully paid for. There was an additional 30,935 for the documents. And what happened is, there was, if you look at the bottom of 2017, that was another document restoration project. So that started in 2017. And as of June of this year, there was still 1363. So the person working on the documents was being paid out of the 2017 project. There was sort of like a continuation of the same project. So actually no funding out of the collection preservation for the 2019 project happened until 6/30 of this year. And the project was slated to be done on December 31st, 2020. So the question just is an update on what's been restored, what's left to be restored, what's the timeline, who's working on it. It is taking a lot longer. I mean, the anticipation when they came in 2019 for continuation of the project is that the 2017 project would be done. And that actually isn't even, you know, they haven't used all the funds in that as of yet. The reason I moved over to pay out of this account was because the invoice was more than in that account. So I think you get to decide if you want to close out the 2017 account, return the 1,300, or, you know, at least have a representative from the society come in and talk about what they're doing, what they're planning to do. I think that's.
Did we get it? Do we have this document in an email?
You do.
Freddie emailed it shortly before our meeting.
Yeah, I thought Betsy was emailing it out, but with going in the hospital, I guess that didn't happen. So we just were working on this, trying to figure it out this week. What we anticipated was that the society was invited to come in and give an update, not that we had to go to this level of detail. But when they didn't, we figured, you know, we should provide you some information on the status.
And do you know what the next steps are with preservation that's happening? Do they still have plans with the funds, or Is there more to be done? You're the representative from the historical side, correct?
Yeah, so just to kind of clarify, I'm not really involved with the society. I'm the historic commission representative. But I can tell you the last time I talked to Michael about this, he said that they were planning to have the work done by February 2022. That being said, I don't have the specific details of what exactly needs to be done between now and then. That's only a couple months away at this point. So I was hoping that, Michael or someone from the society would be here to provide that detail. And it's too bad that they're not.
Okay.
But just, I'm not too familiar with the project overall, unfortunately.
So, Freddie, let's try one more time. We'll email Michael and say, hey, can you please come to our next meeting, which I think is November 4th, to talk about the plans for the funds that are remaining, because if we don't have a plan, we're going to take the funds back. And
So he was invited to come if he couldn't make tonight, for either him to come next month or to send a representative.
right. Yep.
And that was declined. And
For next
he was
month,
invited
too?
last month. So
Yeah,
you want me to ask again?
let's ask one more time, and with the attached message that if no one can attend and give us a plan for what's going to happen with the funds, we're going to take the funds back and assume that the project's done. And I'll work with you on it. I'll work with you on it, Freddie, or I'll call him.
I think having it in an email would, if you're saying that, should be better to document it.
Okay. Well, we'll talk offline, but is everyone
Okay.
comfortable with that? Because I mean, if we
Oh, yeah.
can't get anyone to come and we don't know what the plan is, we should put the money to use other places.
I agree with Freddie, Andrew. I think you do need to put that in writing in an email form, if that's what you're going to send to him.
And additionally, you do need signage on whatever's been restored. We don't even know what's been worked on so far. We don't even know what's been worked on in the 2017 project. There's been no update.
Can I add to that? The affidavit for the flag, I'm surprised that hasn't been done yet. It seems like such an easy piece, and it has been quite a while. It just needs to be drafted and drafted and signed. So I think as part of our request, that simply, that can't be forgotten about. It's got to be done.
We did say in a prior email that it should be done and no more. This was a while ago, and we understand that selectmen have asked town council to work on it, but that's not to us to keep asking where it stands. They need to work on it together. And it's really it's an obligation of the society for the warrant article. And you did in the past say not to do any more work until you had that affidavit. We did pay for the whole flag, but this is the other part of that same project. So I don't know if you want to go that far either. Until we get an update until you get the affidavit, stop work on the project. That is, I'm not making that up. That's something the CPC had discussed before. On the other hand, you want to get this project done.
Freddie, was there a reason given for them declining to attend, or was it just an inconvenience, or what was the nature of that?
That's silly.
What?
The response in the email was to come. That's silly.
Really?
I'm quoting.
I mean, it's a
Interesting.
requirement of the grant.
So
That's an unacceptable response. Andrew, want me to write
I
the email?
agree.
I'll write the email, Andrew, if you'd like me to.
sure, if you want to draft it up,
I'll draft it up.
send
No
it over.
problem.
Okay.
You want me to do it?
You draft it up, send it to me, because it's going to be from me. I might.
I
augment it a
know,
little.
I won't send it.
All
If
right.
I send it, he'll respond quickly. Okay.
Okay. So we good with a direction on the Historical Society?
You also want to
Yeah.
know what to do about the balance in the 2017. And we're also due signage, and on documents, it's usually like put in books or over where it's displayed or somewhere. There needs to be some reference that, you know, the Community Preservation Act funding through the people of the town of Southborough provided this resource.
Yep.
And that's for, when you're done with this conversation, that's a issue we should talk about tonight. The language on signage, because it's the last thing on a lot of projects, and then we can turn the money over once we get the signage. So do you want to, if you're done with this, you can take it off the screen.
Okay.
So the next one is the golf course, the putting green. I don't know if anyone's been over there, Mark. I know there's a lot of golfers. You haven't been able to walk there with Rory. I walked over there yesterday with my dog, checked it out. It is in. It is green. They've been mowing it. They're not using it. I talked to Dick Cruciani about it. He's very happy. He said that they're letting it just grow and fill in the rest of the season, and they'll start using it in the spring of next year. There is a pathway that's put up. They were not able to put in the sand bunker to chip onto the green because as they started to dig, they ran into a rock that was, they said, as big as that big rock between the 8th and the 9th hole, where the tree grows out of it, Mark. So the rock actually sticks out a little bit over there, and nice little addition. So the sand bunkers didn't go in, but they are going to put 2 driving nets so you can warm up that are going to be up there. So so Mark is looking for payment for the architects. Let me see, what did he say? Oop. I keep going to my work mouse here. So he's looking to make a substantial payment both to the excavation contractor, $64,000 that they're looking to, or $63,000 against that. He said that the remaining work that is going to be done by the town. The DPW is going to put in the posts to hold the nets for the warm-up driving cage. I think it's a driving cage. It's kind of like a batting cage with nets around it. That's what they're going to do. So your ball would just stay in that area. It's not it's a small area where you can swing and practice the drive. And then the other piece is paying the pending $3,900 to the architect was the other piece. So questions on that one?
Looks good.
You give approval to Freddie to pay the outstanding invoices?
Yes. Do you need
Yes.
a motion on that, or?
Yeah, we can do a motion. Someone want to make a motion?
I move to pay the invoices for services rendered to date as described by Andrew.
Second.
So second? I don't know.
Yeah. Any discussion? All right. Again, as I see you on my screen, you've moved a little bit. David?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Dorian?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Andrew is a yes. Excellent.
Yay.
All right. Let's see. Next item, conservation restriction. Oh, was underneath the golf course, Freddie? Was there additional conversation on that one?
Talking to myself here. Yes. It's a conservation restriction that was a separate warrant article. It had an endowment for getting everything done. I believe all that work has been completed. So I'm just going to get a sign off from Mark Purple and Conservation to put in our file, and then we can discuss returning the funds, except between that and the whole restoration of the golf course and now this putting green, signage needs to be included. And I imagine that the type of sign you want for a golf course and the amount of money we spent there would be more substantial than what we're sticking in books. So first we have to decide the language, and then we'd have to work with either the golf course committee or a combination, the golf course management, the selectmen, the golf course CR holder, and the golf course committee to agree on what type of signage and where. We want it to be noticeable, you know, maybe have the name of the golf course on it somewhere would be nice. So I think this, maybe I can do a little digging into how much a substantial sign would cost, you know, from, you know, the most expensive one that seems reasonable, so that we leave at least that amount in and before we return money, if that makes sense. You don't want to not have enough money to do it. So I will make that recommendation at an upcoming meeting, because all of these places need signage. So you're going to need to decide on the language.
Yeah.
Do you know how many
That's fine.
signs you think we need?
Well, I don't think I think many, but not all need big signs, like the triangle across from the Fitzy's area, that required a sign. Even the volleyball court, you know, that requires signage. It's not going to be the same kind of sign as at the triangle. The Halloran property needs a sign. The golf course needs a sign. The not All Wars Memorial, but the memorial in front of the police and fire station, that needs signage. The All Wars, everything.
Should we put together some type of a database, Freddie, like an Excel spreadsheet, and list the signs where they need to be and the size of them and then the cost, so we can see it broken down?
Yes, I will say that's a project and a half. What the expectation was, and you know, maybe the CPC dropped the ball. The project applicant was supposed to do this and work with us and come up with it. And now all these projects seem to be done, and many of the applicants are gone away. And, you know, so decide what size. Well, who decides that? The CPC, you know, I think the All Wars Memorial, for example, they'll have specific criteria. That's what held that up, right, Andrew?
Yes.
So each project's different materials, different size. I don't think it's as easy. It'd be nice if we just came up with a standard size sign and this is the size, and maybe that's what we should be doing and say you need to use this.
Better to think what they're gonna put up at the Burnett House. No neon signs. Can we insist on that?
I was thinking flashing lights would be good.
I was hoping twinkly lights.
Hey.
I digress.
We're recorded.
No.
We're recorded.
Oh, they know we're kidding. I just think if we see the breakdown of where the signs need to be.
Yeah, I can make that list. I will provide it.
I understand the complications of the different sizes and that, Freddie. It's just, I would just like to know where the money's going and to see a breakdown of where the stuff is going. That's all, where the signs are going.
And again, it was not anticipated, and maybe we need to change that, because every project you have out there has a requirement for signage. Every project we just passed, and it's one of those things, the project gets done and there's no signage.
Yeah.
Stick something on the MOU for John that he has to take care of it for the townhouse.
All right, so that's it on the CRs. The good news is, though, we know that that project is complete as soon as I get the writing, except for the sign.
Okay.
Freddie, do you think there's some type of, I don't know, repository of signs that the organization we belong to?
Coalition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be a good place to kind of look and get suggest or examples. And I'm just not creative.
I was just out on their website searching to see if there was anything.
I know when I drive around, I take pictures. I just saw one somewhere. I forget where I was. And, I'm driving down the road, taking pictures out my car window. I come across them. Some towns are just really proactive in it. I know that we got really nice ones. Paul Barry, when he did his books, I don't know if anyone recalls, he brought them in to show them when they were done. And they were beautiful. And each book had like a stamped placard saying it was, paid for by the Community Preservation Act. And I think the language is similar in all the towns I see. It's the townspeople through the Community Preservation Act. Some people say that I've seen some that say the CPC, but it's not us doing it, you doing it. It's the act itself and the townspeople who paid for it that you want to be thanking. So yeah, I'll follow up and see if there's standard language and standard signs. Maybe we just have like a choice. If it's a property, you use this size, this type of sign. But if it's a small little property, you don't want a big sign. But if it's a big property, you want a bigger sign to stand out. Like I think the golf course should be not a little plaque.
Agreed.
That's my opinion. Just
Agreed.
something people can see. All right, so that will be a project to work on. It won't be for next month, but it's ongoing. I'll get the list for you anyhow. Some ideas.
Thank you.
That'd be great. Thanks.
All right. The next one we had was the Halloran conservation restriction.
Yeah, so that's good news. It was recently the restriction was filed, but then we needed a bill from Sudbury Valley trustees. They have legal costs. They did all the filings for us and then the endowment. And I have a final bill from them I'm going to pay. It was, I'm waiting for, I have conservation, Melissa, who worked with SVT on it. And I just had asked her to get Mark Purple to sign off as well. And then that project will be complete. Oh, except the signage. So I think that could be, I think we could, if we came up with a range of the dollar amount for the top end, just hold that amount on these projects that are open and return the rest of the money. So we don't have, say, $20,000 out there, but just the 2,000 or whatever it ends up being for a sign. And then we can start whittling down those, a lot of amounts in all the projects. So I'll find out a top end of the signs. And once I get that, you can vote to return the money where it came from. And I'll put that out too. So that was a little bit complicated. There was some complexity there, but we did end up finding out that it was a project complete. Yay.
Yay.
Oh, and we're still, just as an FYI, there's no real easy public access. The only public access is up a path that goes up someone's front lawn, it looks like, but it's actually town-owned little narrow strip of land that goes in back to some open space from a subdivision that then you could walk on a trail through there that's non-existent to get to the Halloran property. And the Open Space Preservation Commission is working with Selectman Stivers, who's working with the Department of Transportation, DOT, because the Open Space Commission long ago saw an opportunity to access the property through the Mass Pike land. If you go over to Parkerville has a little weird dead end that got cut off when they put the pike through that would go over to Richards Road. And that little dead end goes to the Mass Pike land. And right there, there's the Mass Pike has, I'm going to make numbers up, but say it has 1,000 feet between the pike and abutting properties. Right there, it has like 2,000 feet, and I'm making the numbers up, but there's a jag so that we could actually not diminish their setback from a fence to the pike and still have land to walk into and connect to a trail on the Halloran property. So we're hoping to get an easement across there. Sam's working with DOT. And it would allow some little parking area at the end of that dead end street. So there's huge potential. And why I'm telling you all that, because it relates to another project that's still open that we're waiting for access to get into the Halloran property to finish. So it's good news. It's moving forward. Things take time. So
That's
what
great.
was,
Any other questions on the Halloran property?
No.
All right, next one was fiscal year 2023 CPA budget.
so we started working on that, and I should say I started working on it with, I have a meeting next week with the treasurer, Brian Ballantyne. We need to go over some of the bond accounts. It's just to better understand the different types of accounts that they're in, and when we take money out of them, what happens. And then I just got today, late afternoon, what's in our account. So I'll pull all that together. I'll get the information from the coalition on the expected state match, which they are expecting, I think, in the 35% range.
Wow.
I think we can be comfortable for next year. Well, that's this year, right? So it's always a guessing game, or your best. Thank you for that, Annie. That would be a big help. We don't get the notice of what our match is for last year. I mean, this fiscal year coming up now, but we budgeted it last year, right? So that will come up later in November. I think we get the actual amount, and that's the one I think is going to be 35%. And then they have to estimate what would happen the following year. So it's a conversation, and we'll do our best. We always do a pretty good job. So we'll have that for you definitely next month, and I'll get it out to you well ahead of time so you can review it, but for your approval. And then we'll put the 10% aside and all of that. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next was a review timeline for annual town meeting. So I think the only project, Freddie and I were talking about this earlier, the only item that was coming forth was an open space piece. that we were
Yeah,
talking
and
about. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry, Freddie, you were saying something?
yes, that's our project. We're working on it. We ran into some situations similar to everyone with COVID. We have consultants we're trying to get, and people, I'm waiting for a report back from somebody, and it's just getting anyone to do work is just really hard. People are way backlogged, and getting these quotes in, or, helping out. So that will be, to the best of our ability, to you by November 4th. I mean,
Okay.
you'll have that by is it November 4th,
I
the
think
next
so.
meeting?
Yeah. All right. Fiscal year 2023 CPA application. So
That's what I just talked about.
Oh, sorry. And then the basketball court update. I know Jen's not here. The last I heard, I haven't been by it since I know they sealed the seam in the middle. They were supposed to build up around the edges. Has anyone else been by it? The Fayetteville court?
I drive by all the time, but I never see it up close enough to notice anything of importance.
Okay. So we'll keep that on for, I'll get out there this weekend, check it out. Keep it on for next time, see if there's anything else, or if need be, I'll just reach out to Karen Gallagher or Tim and say, hey, when's this gonna be built up around the edge so someone doesn't twist her ankle going off. Let's see, chairman's report. I didn't really have anything else really to add. So then we had minutes. Did everyone have a chance to read the minutes? I know they just went out today. Oh, do we want to shelve them or?
I haven't had a
What-
chance to read through them yet.
I wasn't at the meeting, but one thing I noticed that it was sent out as the September meeting, but the date on it says July 21st. I don't know if that's intentional.
I think there was a corrected one that went out afterwards.
Oh, okay. I didn't see the corrected one.
I have one correction on September 9th.
So do we, well, my question was, do we want to go through them tonight? Some people hadn't read them. I know Ben hadn't. Or do we want to just shelve it till November 4th?
I prefer
I
to
think
shelve.
that you're gonna get a notice from the town clerk's office if you don't get this posted.
Everyone gets notices.
'Cause 2 weeks,
I know, but I'm just saying, if we don't
I
vote
know.
on it tonight and get it posted, you're gonna get a note from the town clerk.
that's fine. I'll manage that.
All right, can we
Okay.
take the E off my name? On those
Okay.
minutes and all going forward, there's no E on my name.
Sure. Okay,
Thank you.
so we'll shelve that till the next meeting. The signature authorization. Freddie, I think you're gonna put an updated signature authorization form at the townhouse, correct?
Right, was it in these minutes that you voted on it?
These minutes?
I think it was earlier.
Okay, so yeah, we voted on one and a lot of you signed it at the townhouse but we needed to vote on 2 years. So I'll put up the second one at the townhouse and then everyone will have to go and sign it again. And I believe it was David and Mark the last time I looked who hadn't signed the first one.
Guilty as charged. I'm sorry.
But I didn't bug you because I knew there was a second one coming and just go once and everyone else you'll be doing another trip. So as soon as I get it up there, I will notify you to go up and sign, okay?
Thank you.
Sounds good.
More of a reminder to everyone than an agenda item, but
All right, sounds good. The next one is a planned date for the annual outreach for and presentation. So, I mean, right now, we're kind of closed off for the end of this year. The only other person I know who talked about possibly looking for funds would be the town clerk. And he is, I talked with Freddie, we're gonna put him on the agenda for next meeting anyhow, because we want an update with one of his projects. He's looking to kind of do what the Historical Society was doing, have someone come in and filter through documents that he has in the bowels of the basement. He came across a letter which he thought was really cool. It was signed by John Hancock and John Adams on the same thing. He's like, this would probably be a good one to get preserved. But he said there's still stuff down there that he just doesn't know what's in the basement. So he's looking, and I was like, well, depending on how much you need and everything, it's possible we could use admin. It doesn't have to be a project because you're trying to figure out what you actually want to preserve going forward, and that would be the project. So he's going to come forth and talk to us about that. So the planned date for the annual outreach, I think we can move that into next year if everyone's comfortable with that, because we're not looking for more projects right now. And with the lack of funds that we had by funding the townhouse, there isn't a lot to make available for applicants. So if everyone's good with that, we'll choose a date in the future, at a future meeting. MOU Trails Committee sent out the approval edits for the, oh, that's what we needed to approve the minutes for. Is that right, Freddie?
Yeah, and there's no real rush on that. It can wait till November 4th, I believe.
Okay,
We just want to be sure they asked for edits. I believe you approved them at the last meeting, and then we just need to revise and send it back. But I wanted to wait till the minutes were approved to do that, to make sure everyone agreed what was going into it.
okay. And then the Historical Society had signed the MOU from 2019. I just have to sign that. And then it's good to go. So I will do that. Any other questions?
Nope.
The last bullet point on here was motion for an adjournment.
When's our next meeting?
November 4th.
November 4th.
In 2 weeks?
Yep.
I might have a hard time making that meeting. I will try.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be at an art show. So, I might be able to duck into the corner and do it off my phone.
Right.
And just a heads up, we have a historical meeting at 5:30 beforehand. So they know I have a stop at 7 for our CPC meeting, but there's possible I might be a couple minutes late,
Okay.
but I'll be here.
Sounds good. So was there a motion?
Yes, so moved.
Second,
Any discussion? All right, I'll call you as I see you on my screen. David,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Dorian,
yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Andrew is a yes. Thanks everyone for attending. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.
Everyone,
night,
and
everyone.
I'll
Good
get
night.
you the draft.
Good to see you.